3 months ago, if someone had told me that letting my wife's mother sleep in our guest room would eventually involve police officers, restraining orders, and my 6-year-old son asking if Grandma hated him, I would have laughed and said they watched too many crime shows. But that's exactly what happened. And honestly, even now it still feels unreal sometimes. The craziest part wasn't that Evelyn Mercer showed up after 22 years. It was that my wife actually opened the door. My name is Ryan Collins. My wife Lauren and I live in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio. Nothing fancy, just a decent house, 2 reliable jobs, and our son Mason, who basically thinks dinosaurs and chocolate milk are the greatest things God ever created. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and we were happy. Lauren and I met in college. She was one of those people who somehow carried pain without letting it poison her. Most people who knew her never realized she grew up without a mother. Evelyn had walked out when Lauren was 8 years old, just disappeared one day with some boyfriend and left Lauren's father, Mike, to figure out the rest. Mike worked himself half to death raising her. 2 jobs, no vacations, barely any sleep. Lauren practically raised herself. She earned scholarships, graduated with honors, and built a career in marketing while her dad proudly sat in the front row at every graduation. In all the years I'd known her, she rarely talked about her mother. Not because she hated her. Honestly, that would have been easier. She just carried this quiet sadness, like somebody who spent 20 years asking herself what she did wrong, even though she never did anything wrong. Then one evening, about 6 months ago, Lauren was making pasta while I helped Mason with homework when her phone rang. I remember looking over and watching the color drain from her face. She just froze. "Lauren?" I asked. She stared at the screen. "It's her." "Who?" "My mom." I swear I almost dropped the juice box I was holding. "Her mom, after 22 years, Lauren answered. She barely spoke, just listened. Then hung up and sat there staring at the table. "What did she want?" "She wants to meet for coffee." I didn't say anything right away. Truthfully, I was angry, not because she called, because she thought she could. 22 years, no birthdays, no graduations, no wedding, no grandson. Nothing, and now suddenly she wanted coffee. Still, I knew my wife. Lauren's heart was too big for her own good. 2 days later, she met Evelyn downtown. She came home looking exhausted. "How'd it go?" I asked. Lauren laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. She complained about the coffee. "What? Apparently they didn't have almond milk." I blinked. "Seriously?" Lauren nodded. "And she spent 40 minutes talking about her divorce, her bad luck, and how hard life has been. Did she apologize?" She looked at me, "Not once." That should have been the end right there. But then Lauren quietly added, "Ryan, she's broke." Of course she was. Her latest boyfriend had kicked her out. She had nowhere to stay, no job, no savings, and just like that I knew where this was headed. "Absolutely not," I said. "Ryan, no, Lauren, she abandoned you." "I know, 22 years, I know. People don't just change overnight." Lauren looked down. "She's still my mother." I hated that sentence. Not because she was wrong, but because I knew she'd always hope for something that probably didn't exist. That night we sat on the porch after Mason went to bed. Summer crickets chirping, neighbors walking dogs, everything normal except the storm hanging over us. Lauren finally whispered, "Maybe she's different now." I wrapped my arm around her. "Baby, I hope so." And I meant it, because nobody deserved a second chance more than my wife deserved a mother. 3 days later, Evelyn Mercer arrived with 4 oversized suitcases, enough designer handbags for a month-long vacation, and a smile so fake it practically squeaked. And standing there in my driveway, watching this woman hug the daughter she'd abandoned 22 years earlier like they were old friends, I had this feeling deep in my stomach. The kind that tells you trouble just parked itself in your guest room. And God help me. I should have listened. I should have listened. Because by day 2, Evelyn was already acting less like a guest and more like somebody conducting a surprise inspection. She reorganized our kitchen while Lauren was at work. No joke. I came downstairs and spent 5 minutes looking for coffee filters because she'd moved everything around. "Oh, I fixed your cabinets," she announced proudly. "Fixed them." Well, honestly, Ryan, they were kind of a mess. I just stood there blinking. "Ma'am, I've lived in this house for 8 years. I know where the coffee filters go," but I bit my tongue. For Lauren, everything was for Lauren. At first, my wife kept making excuses. "She's adjusting. She's had a hard life. Maybe she's nervous." Then Evelyn started criticizing everything. The couch, our curtains, the brand of cereal we bought. One morning she actually frowned at my eggs. "Do you people only eat cholesterol around here?" I almost laughed. Because this woman had been in my house 4 days and already said "you people" like she was staying at a hotel with bad reviews. But the thing that really got under my skin wasn't me, it was Mason. Our little guy was 6, sweet as can be, and probably apologized to furniture if he bumped into it. One evening he spilled some juice at dinner. No big deal, kid stuff. Before Lauren or I could even grab a towel, Evelyn sighed dramatically. "Good Lord, kids these days are so spoiled." In my generation, children knew how to behave. Mason froze, actually froze. He looked down at his lap like he'd committed a felony. Lauren immediately stepped in. "Mom, he's 6. I'm just teaching him responsibility." "No, you're embarrassing him." That night after Mason was asleep, he asked me something that broke my heart. "Dad, yeah, buddy, why doesn't Grandma like me?" Man, I swear that question hit harder than anything she'd said to me. Because kids don't understand narcissists. They just think everything's their fault. I hugged him and said, "Buddy, Grandma has a hard time showing love sometimes, but none of this is because of you." Still, I could tell he wasn't convinced, and honestly, neither was I. By the second week, I started counting the days. Then one Friday evening, I came home and found 3 strange women sitting in our living room drinking wine. I thought I had entered the wrong house. Evelyn smiled. "Oh good, you're home. Everyone, this is Ryan." One woman waved. Another said, "Your wife is such a wonderful cook." I looked at Lauren. Her eyes were screaming. Apparently Evelyn had invited her bridge club friends over without asking anybody, and she'd volunteered Lauren to cook dinner. Lauren finally snapped. "Mom, you can't invite people to our house." Evelyn waved her hand. "Oh, don't be dramatic, it's just dinner." "No, Mom, you don't live here." Her smile disappeared. That was the first time I saw it. The real face, cold, sharp. Calculating, she slowly put down her wine glass. "You know what your problem is, Ryan? Here we go. You've turned my daughter against me." I almost laughed. "Excuse me. Ever since she married you, she's forgotten who her family is." "Actually," I said calmly, "I think she remembers exactly who her family is." Evelyn pointed at me. "You stole her." Lauren stood up immediately. "Stop." "No, sweetheart, I'm serious. He controls you." I looked at this woman and something inside me just clicked. "No, Evelyn, you know what controls people? Trauma. You walked away from your daughter and somehow convinced yourself you're the victim." Silence. 1 second, 2 seconds, then all hell broke loose. She exploded. "You have no idea what I've been through." "What about what Lauren went through?" I fired back. "I sacrificed everything." Lauren's eyes filled with tears. "No, Mom." Her voice was quiet, painfully quiet. "You left." And somehow that sentence hurt Evelyn more than anything. Because narcissists don't fear anger, they fear truth. She stormed upstairs and slammed the door hard enough to shake family pictures off the wall. Mason came running into the kitchen crying. "Dad, it's okay, buddy." "No, it's not." He wrapped himself around Lauren. "I don't want Grandma yelling anymore." My wife just broke. She sat on the floor holding him, crying quietly while I stood there feeling helpless. That night we sat on the back porch after Mason went to bed. Lauren stared at the stars. I really thought she'd changed. I held her hand. "I know. No, Ryan, I really believed maybe she'd come back because she loved me. Her voice cracked. How stupid am I? Hey, I grabbed her hand tighter. You were hoping for a mother, there's nothing stupid about that. She cried harder after that, not because of Evelyn, but because hope hurts when it dies. The next morning, like some kind of bizarre sitcom character, Evelyn came downstairs smiling, whistling, making pancakes like nothing had happened. I actually thought I'd entered another dimension. She looked over. Good morning, everyone. Lauren and I exchanged a look. Mom, Lauren began carefully, today's your last day. Evelyn laughed. Oh, honey, that's negotiable. No, it's family. No, family takes care of family. I finally said it. Family doesn't disappear for 22 years and then demand room service. She stared at me. That fake smile returned. And I swear it gave me chills because she looked right at me and said, "You know, I've been thinking, this arrangement works wonderfully. Maybe I should just stay permanently." Lauren and I literally thought she was joking. She wasn't, and when we said absolutely not, that's when Evelyn Mercer smiled and said something that made my blood run cold. Well, I do have rights as a grandmother. And suddenly, what we'd thought was an annoying houseguest problem started becoming something much darker. And suddenly, what we'd thought was an annoying houseguest problem started becoming something much darker. At first, I honestly thought she was bluffing. Grandparent rights, come on, this woman had known Mason for all of 12 days, but Evelyn wasn't done. The second we made it clear she had to leave, she switched personalities faster than I'd ever seen. One minute she was crying, "I'm all alone." The next minute she was furious. "You owe me." Then she'd go right back to tears. "I just want my family back." It was exhausting. Eventually, I sat down with Lauren and said, "Baby, this can't continue." She nodded. Her eyes looked tired, not angry, just tired. The kind of tired that comes from grieving someone who's still alive. So we helped Evelyn look for apartments. We offered to cover the deposit, even after everything, because Lauren was still Lauren, and maybe because we're idiots. But apparently affordable apartments were beneath her. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "I deserve better than this." Then she dropped the bomb. "I should live here permanently." Lauren just stared. "No, but I can help with Mason." "No, I can cook." "No, I gave birth to you." Lauren's voice cracked. "And then you left." That should have ended the conversation. Instead, Evelyn stood up and looked straight at us. "If you won't let me stay willingly, I'll find another way to be part of my grandson's life." Something in her tone scared me. Not angry, not emotional, cold, calculated. That evening we told her she had until sunset. She called us monsters, ungrateful children, heartless people. Our neighbors probably heard every word. Eventually she left. And honestly, I thought that was it. I couldn't have been more wrong. The phone calls started immediately. 3 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 20 voicemails, some crying, some screaming. Then she started showing up at Lauren's office, creating scenes in the lobby, telling coworkers she'd been abandoned by her own daughter. Then came the day that still makes my stomach twist. I got a call from Mason's elementary school. "Mr. Collins, we just wanted to verify something." My heart dropped. "Verify what?" "A woman claiming to be your son's grandmother says there's a family emergency and she needs to pick him up." Everything inside me went cold. Keep him there. I don't even remember driving, I flew. When I arrived, Evelyn was pacing outside. The principal stood nearby with security, and there she was, acting offended. "They won't let me see my grandson." I walked straight up to her. "There is no emergency. I'm his grandmother." "No, you're a stranger." She looked shocked. "How dare you?" "No, how dare you show up at my son's school?" The security guard stepped forward. "Ma'am, you need to leave." "I know my rights." "No, you don't." Watching that guard escort her off school property was surreal. But what scared me wasn't what she'd done. It was what she was willing to do next. That night, Lauren finally agreed to call a lawyer. We documented everything, texts, voicemails, photos. The lawyer almost laughed when he heard about grandparent rights. "She has no case." But he became serious after hearing about the school. You need cameras. Seriously, seriously. 3 weeks later, around dinner time, our doorbell started ringing. Not once, not twice, constantly. Then came pounding, hard, violent. I looked through the peephole and there she was, hair a mess, eyes wild, holding papers. Opened the door, I cracked it open with the chain lock still attached. What? She shoved papers toward me. I'm suing you. I looked down, internet forms, literally printed from Google. I'm demanding grandparent rights. I almost laughed. And she said something I'll never forget. And I want this house. I stared. What? You don't need it. I do. I honestly thought I'd misheard. This house should belong to me. Lauren appeared behind me. Her face went pale. Mom. No, sweetheart, think about it. Ryan can go live somewhere else. I blinked. Did she just, you can go stay with your father, Evelyn continued. I need this house. Lauren finally snapped. Years of pain, years of hope, years of excuses, gone. No, Evelyn froze. No, no, I'm your mother. No, you're not. Silence. Even I stopped breathing. Lauren stepped forward. A mother doesn't disappear for 22 years. Tears ran down her face. A mother doesn't terrorize her grandson. A mother doesn't show up because she's broke and expect everyone to worship her. Evelyn's entire face changed. You ungrateful little, she shoved Lauren hard. My wife stumbled backward. Something inside me exploded. We're done. I called 911. And that's when Evelyn lost her mind. No, don't call. Too late. 10 minutes later, 2 officers arrived, and naturally she played the victim. They locked me out of my own home. One officer looked confused. Your home? My daughter's home. I handed over mortgage paperwork. The officer nodded. Ma'am, you need to leave. Then she made the dumbest decision of her life. She tried pushing past the officers, and when they stopped her, she swung. Not hard, not enough to hurt anybody, but enough. That was all it took. Watching Evelyn Mercer being handcuffed on my front porch while screaming, "They stole my family," would have almost been funny if it wasn't so unbelievably sad. She eventually pled guilty to reduced charges: trespassing, assault, resisting arrest. The judge granted a restraining order, 500 feet from our house, 500 feet from Mason's school, 500 feet from Lauren's workplace. And just like that, she was gone. A few months later, Mason stopped asking about the scary grandma. Lauren started therapy. And one night, sitting on the back porch where this whole nightmare had really started, she looked at me and quietly said, "You know what hurts the most?" What? I wasn't hoping she'd come back. I squeezed her hand. I know. I was hoping she'd finally love me. Man, that one almost broke me. Because some wounds aren't caused by strangers. They're caused by people we're programmed to love. Last we heard, Evelyn moved to Arizona to stay with some distant relatives. We haven't heard from her since. And honestly, part of me hopes she's getting help, but another part of me still wonders, if we'd never opened that door, would Lauren still be wondering whether her mother ever loved her? Or did she finally find peace because the illusion died? And that's something I still don't know. So I want to ask you guys, were we too harsh? Should family always get a second chance? Or are there some people who lose the right to call themselves family, no matter what blood says? Let me know down in the comments because I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. And if you've ever had someone come back into your life after years of silence, I'd love to know how it turned out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.